The 1 p.m. Monday, August the 25th, COVID-19 analysis for the country of Brazil. Let's just start off with the regular netted numbers here. And if you follow me on if you follow me on Twitch, by all means, click that follow button, and also be sure to stop by the chat session and say hi. Okay, I'm also interested to see who's actually on my channel at one time. So we can see you can currently see that Brazil has 21.5 million cases and 605,000 deaths. But I think there may be some good news ahead, although not necessarily right here, because I would say that Brazil's cases in 2020 are close to doubling 2020's cases. But don't panic yet. We have to wait till we see the finer grain numbers, okay? Because we don't know what the distribution at this time is of the cases. We don't think about the vaccination rates here either. And as you can see, your COVID-19 deaths certainly have passed the 2020 deaths. But again, we need to be cautious here because we don't know when these deaths occurred during the course of the first 9 months of the year, first 10 months of the year. We don't know if these people have been vaccinated or not. We don't know if this is Delta variant or not. Okay. So what's interesting about Brazil's case is instead of having a single spike starting back down in July and climbing back up here to January, these kind of stair step up a little bit. It's a much more gradual increase over time. Okay. We can still take a look here, though. And take a look. But your cases spiked on June the 23rd at 115,228 cases. Okay. And you can see that your deaths fall. Your cases have fallen all the way. Hey, Saffir CS, how you doing today? Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it, friend. So you can see, I'm just doing a little COVID-19 analysis here. Okay. You know, I actually do appreciate every single person who stops by. Because there's always something. There's always other things people could be doing at this time rather than watching me talk about COVID-19. I am doing R programming to analyze. I'm using the R programming language to analyze COVID-19 data for a few countries. The Dave's Data Analytics channel is all about R programming and data analytics. Hmm. Okay. Okay. That's interesting. That's kind of curious. Are you still there, Sepher? So you can see that you can see that your cases declined from 115,228 all the way down to 6,204. That's a pretty doggone healthy decrease. Okay, even if we look at these numbers here, it's still 100,000 plus. Your current 14-day average is 113,338. Okay. Now if we take a look at deaths again, it's kind of curious. You kind of had this sort of slight, this little wavy line here, and then there's some time after. I'm 67. So tell me, do you do any programming? Oh, by the way, don't forget to click the follow button. Oh, good. What language do you do? And you can see here, we come back over here to the first year for deaths. You see, deaths spiked on April the 8th at 4,249, and this is 187. And so on 10 to 24, the number fall to 187, with an average of 333 deaths per day. Oh, ASPCOR. Okay, isn't ASP? Is that Microsoft? Okay, so we can see here the weekly case. Hope you noticed this sort of semi-transparent uh, color here, by the way. Okay, good. Yeah, yeah. You know, ASP isn't a name you hear a lot much anymore. I think a lot of people just moved on to things like, I don't know, various type of back ends, things. Okay, once again, you can see on the weekly cases the climb up before falling out. The numbers didn't actually fall back. See, the trouble with an area chart, it doesn't actually, you don't actually know what the last column is. But nonetheless, a nice healthy decline down to here, and a very nice healthy decline all the way down to here. Okay. How long have you been doing back end development? One, two, three, four. You can see here's the good news, Brazil. You're riding a 4 month wave in decline in COVID-19 cases. What about deaths, Brazil? See, here's the thing. See, that's why I say the yearly numbers can be a little misleading. Because look at this. You're riding a 6 month decline in COVID-19 deaths. All right. Okay, Brazil. That takes care of your report for today, Brazil. Let's just keep rolling right along here. Let's just roll on over to Spain. Just a little reminder: Spain only records COVID-19 data. Uh, COVID-19 data Monday through Friday. So Monday's numbers include Saturday and Sunday's numbers. Let's just take a look here. By the way, folks, we're up to 55 followers now. So we're just blowing right past that one metric, haven't we? We've actually completed a few of the metrics. Okay, so Spain currently has, let's just say 50 million. Let's just say 5 million cases. Make it easy on ourselves. I'd say 872,000 deaths, rounding up there. Now, again, what you can see here, you can see that Spain's 2021 cases have passed 2020 cases. But we've got to be cautious here because we don't know, as always, what the distribution of these cases over time is. We don't know the vaccination rates in there either, you know? What about deaths? We know here's the good news, Spain. There's a fairly good chance that you're not going to that their 2021 deaths are not going to catch 2020 deaths, and that'd be great news. Okay, but even so, we don't know what the vaccination rate among these people who died was. We don't know what the distribution over time. So let's get to that question of distribution over time right now by looking at the current numbers. So you can see that your COVID-19 cases spiked on January 25th at 98,822 before falling and have a very low number range during the summer. A little blip up here. For the most part, very low numbers during the summer. A second spike on July the 19th at 61,628 cases. And you can currently see that your cases on 1022 had fallen to 2,556, which is a decent, which is a big improvement. And your average of the 1019, you're averaging 25,003 cases per day. Okay, so let's come on down to weekly cases. Again, the spike back in January, a long declining pattern. You had a little bit, you had a fairly decent speed bump in the middle of summer before the numbers began to fall back down again. Then in July, 4 week increase in numbers, and then all of a sudden a very low, long declining pattern again beginning in July for COVID-19 cases. The good news is your deaths for the summer have been fairly low, below probably for the most part below 1,000 to 1,500. Okay, because this is 1,000. So all the way back over to here, all the way up to today, you're all the way over to here. You can see that all the way over to here. You can see that your deaths are remaining below 1,000 per week. Okay. What about deaths? What about month? Well, the good news is this is October will be the third month in a row we saw a decline in COVID-19 cases. Okay, and early in the summer you had a 5 month decline in COVID-19 deaths, and now you're riding a 2 month decline, September October. Okay, so anyway, Spain, that concludes your numbers for today. Let's just keep this program. Let's just keep rolling right along here. Come over here to Israel. Save that. And that's just far up our numbers over here for Israel. Israel, of course, has been in the midst of a very aggressive vaccination program. As we saw yesterday, I mean, over 70% full vaccination rate, I believe. And you can see currently Israel has 1.32 million cases, 8,049 deaths. Now, as you can see here, this looks pretty ominous, doesn't it? I mean, you pretty much doubled the cases for 2021, but we need to be careful because at this point we don't know what the distribution of these numbers is, and we don't know anything about the vaccination rates either. Okay, what about deaths? Well, deaths have passed 2020 deaths also. Of course, we don't know when the first death was in 2020 either. Okay. Hmm. So again, you can see your deaths have passed 2020 deaths, but we don't want to panic here too soon because we don't know what the distribution is and the vaccination information. So we come down here to daily cases, and let's just zoom in for the current year. This pattern here should look familiar. A long declining pattern down in the spring and summer. Very, very low, crazy low numbers for Israel uh, here. Follow this all the way down to here. Very low numbers for cases during the summer. Then we had a spike, big spike up on September the 8th of 22,291 cases for a single day. Some people are saying this is Delta variant. I'm not sure what they're basing that statement on, but you can see over here as of October the 22nd that your cases have fallen to 932 cases per day at an average of 562 cases. All right. What about deaths? Well, you can see again the pattern, a big spike towards the first half of the year, long declining pattern again, almost all summer long down here. Uh, Israel, you've had a crazy low number of deaths. Low double digits, single digit deaths for several days. Then you had a bit hiccup back over here, 56 deaths on September the 8th before falling back down to an average of 5.6 deaths per day. Now, if we take a look here at your and you also do C sharp then? You do ASP and C sharp? So anyway, you can see here again this long declining pattern leading down in the summer, very low cases during the summer. Then we had this sharp increase back up over here. I suppose this sharp increase can be attributed to the exponential growth, right? So a long sharp pattern, in a very low. And now you can see your case had a very sharp declining pattern all the way back down to here last week. Okay. What about deaths? A long declining pattern down the summer, very low numbers during the summer. Then you had this 4 or 5 week very sharp increase, but immediately after you reach the spike here, the numbers began to fall back down. And here, this is the numbers for this week so far. Okay. What about monthly cases? Well, monthly cases you can see here. The good news is that October's deaths are going to be the cases are going to be below August September cases. The bad news is August September cases were the second and third most months so far for COVID-19 cases. Well, here's the thing. Over here you had a 4 month decline, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a 5 month decline in COVID-19 deaths. Then July had to spoil the party, but July, August, September had to spoil the party. But we can be optimistic. So the good news is October's deaths are going to be below August, September's deaths. Okay. So let's just keep these numbers rolling right along here. Who was it? That was Israel. Let's take a look at the Buckeye State right now. Okay. Okay, Buckeye Nation. Let's get this report fired up here. Tell you what, I'll be right back in like 5 minutes. I'm going to go and grab me a little bit of eggnog. Testing, testing. Okay, good. Okay, let's just keep this show rolling along here, and let's just take a look at the Buckeye State. That, of course, is the state of Ohio in the U.S. It's also the home of the Ohio State University, the Ohio State Buckeye football team, and the best damn band in the land. Okay, just in case you haven't heard it before. Okay, very important. Okay, of course, as you know by now, there was some shenanigans going on in the governor's office in the first quarter of this year regarding COVID-19 death counts. The governor's office came out and said, "Oops, we undercounted COVID-19 deaths by close to 4,000 in the fourth quarter of 2020. But rather go back and fixing the numbers and reissuing the correct numbers, they took the missing deaths, they added them on to February 11th, 12th, and 13th, and that's what this looks like right here. Okay? You can see these three numbers are completely out of proportion to everything else before and after it. So we replaced those three numbers with the average number of COVID-19 deaths for these 3 days, and this here is a much better fit. Okay? Let's take a look at the red line is a 14-day moving average. Oh, I forgot to mention in March, sometime around in March, the governor's office did something else. They switched from a 7-day reporting cycle for deaths to a 5-day reporting cycle. If that's not enough, it's not always the same 5 days. Now, of course, they'll continue to count cases 7 days a week. Okay? If you see where I'm going here. You know, the thing that's kind of curious about this, if they went back and corrected these numbers here, this decline would be much more pronounced because you'd be going from up here, okay, down to here. Okay? It would have been a longer decline. But anyway, the governor's office chose rather than fix the numbers, he chose to fudge the numbers. So we had a long declining pattern down to mid-July and a big spike up to here. Okay? Long decline. Now, what caused this spike here? Was it Delta variant? Was it just the normal seasonal cycle of COVID-19? Come down here, cases by week, not particularly helpful, or deaths by week, not particularly helpful. If you come down here, you know the drill. Long declining pattern in cases down to July, then an increase in July over the next month and a half before beginning to decline again. And this is just the weekly cases. Again, you've seen this pattern a number of times, okay? So anyway, that concludes the report for the Buckeye State for today. Let's just keep this show rolling along here, but come over to Portugal. Well, now it says I have 2 viewers. Okay, if you're viewing this video, the stream, I'd appreciate if you'd stop by the chat session, stop by and say hi in chat, so I know you're actually a real person. Okay. Of course, if you are viewing the video and you haven't clicked that follow button so far, by all means, click on that follow button. Okay. So let's go and take a look at Portugal's numbers. Okay. So currently, Portugal has vaccinated over 8 million people. And you can see that Portugal's vaccination rate is also over 80%. And we look through down here is you had a long declining pattern as many countries did during the spring and very low numbers during the summer. But then in July, we begin to see an increase in cases before beginning to fall back down again. Deaths, what can we say? Your deaths rate is crazy low. Okay, that's all you can really say about that. Uh, a single spike, long, crazy low numbers down here. I think it's time for Portugal to start sharing some of its vaccines since clearly they got their situation under control. Okay. Anyway, long declining pattern for cases, very low numbers during the spring and summer. Then towards the end of summer, we began to see cases increasing before again falling back down shortly the first part of July, down again, down to below. If this is 25,000, this is 12,500. So right now, for the last few weeks, your cases have been about 10,000 per week, 8 to 10,000 per week. What about deaths? Well, your deaths rate, what can we say about your deaths? Your deaths rate is crazy low. Okay. All the way since spring, all up and down, your deaths have been just crazy, crazy low. Okay. What about cases by month? Well, 1, 2, 3, you're riding a 3 month decline in COVID-19 cases. Plus, you had a very low cycle of cases down here during summer. Deaths? Well, what can we say? I mean, your monthly deaths are just crazy low. Again, this is 1,000 deaths. So this is 500. So your deaths for most of the summer have been under 500 per month. Okay. So that's fantastic. That's just more good news for you folks in Portugal. So let's just roll on over here to where are we over here? We're to Sweden, right? Sweden is a bit of a curious case. Okay, as you'll see, their numbers are crazy low. But yet the other thing that's kind of interesting is that somewhere during the summer they went from reporting numbers 7 days a week to 4 days a week. So instead they're adding Saturday, Sunday, Monday on the Tuesdays numbers. Now I've never really seen what I consider to be a good explanation for that. I mean, what changed during the summer? Okay, what changed from the first for the I mean, what changed from the first 18 months required you to make this change in reporting? So that's my question. I mean, if you didn't need to do that for the first 18 months, why'd you start in July doing it again? Start in July, okay? So you'll see exactly what we're talking about here in just one moment. But nonetheless, as you'll see, Spain's numbers are pretty doggone good. Okay, so what you can see here is uh, Sweden's numbers have passed uh, 2021. Sweden's 2021 cases have passed 2021 cases, very close to doubling the number. But again, as you'll see, this number by itself is a little misleading because it doesn't. You won't know that the cases and deaths are declining. Okay, Deaths, the good news is there's a very good chance, Sweden, that your COVID-19 deaths will not, 2020 COVID-19 deaths will not catch 2020 deaths, which would be a huge victory. Okay, it's a huge victory. Now, if you come over here now, you can see these are the Tuesday spikes. So because of this, it's kind of hard to know what the actual counts were for the other 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So what we're concerned with instead is this blue line. This is our trend analysis. This gives us the underlying movement of the cases in this case. And you can see back over here, sometime I think it was during the I don't know. Sometime around early May, you begin to have a big decline in the COVID-19 cases. But then again, in July, of course, like many countries, you begin to see an increase in cases again. But then again, almost as quickly as these cases went up, they began to fall back down again. Okay? We come over here and look at these cases, 14-day average. So the 14-day period ending October the 24th, you had 506. You were averaging 506 uh, cases per day. Deaths are slightly more tricky because apparently they missed some deaths back during the summer and they added them on over here. Okay, so this number here is probably actually a little high, but you can see it. It is starting to fall back. Deaths are starting to fall back down again. And we take a look over here at the 14-day average. And you can see for the 14-day period ending October 24th, you were averaging 5.2 deaths per day. Pretty doggone good numbers, my friends. This is just weekly cases, not particularly helpful. Monthly cases. Okay, here we go. August, September saw a little spike up, but now it looks like October's going to be falling back down below these numbers here. But even so, this line here is 25,000. So they come from all the way up here down to 25,000 for these 25,000 and below for these 5 months. It's pretty doggone good numbers. Okay, let's just be honest, but just give yourself credit there. Now look at this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months in a row. You had a decline in COVID-19 deaths, Sweden. September was up, but now it's a pretty good chance that October's deaths are going to finish below September's deaths. Okay, so that takes care of your number, Sweden. Okay, now let's get to the star of the show. Let's just go and fire up these numbers for the U.S. Now, the thing that's curious about the way COVID-19 deaths are counted, including in the U.S. and most countries, is they're counted from the very first case and the very first death. And what's unusual about that is, in the U.S. anyway, cancer and heart disease deaths are counted 1 year at a time. So every year, uh, cancer deaths and heart disease deaths are reset to zero. But they're not. But we don't do that with COVID-19. We count COVID-19 from the very first case and the very first death. Okay. So keep that in mind when you see all these numbers. Okay. So since the very first case back in February 2020, January 2020, we've had 45.4 million cases. From the very first death, the very end of February, February 29, 2020, we've had say 736,000 deaths. We're currently averaging 70,895 cases per day, which projects out over the next 12 months to 25.8 million deaths or cases. We're currently averaging 1,218 cases per day. Which projects out to 445,000 deaths over the next 12 months. So we look at the current year, long declining pattern down to July. Then in July we saw the spike. And after maybe a month and a half of climbing, the numbers immediately began to fall back down again towards the 50,000 case per day range. Okay. Of course, the question is how many of these people are Delta variant, how many are just a plain old vanilla uh, COVID-19 cases, and how many of them were vaccinated, of course. Now, if we look at deaths, we see the same pattern. Declining pattern going into summer, late summer, an increase in deaths. Okay? And when you look here, you can see that our COVID-19 deaths or cases are higher than 2020 cases. But again, we have a big, long declining pattern down to here, then an increase over here. COVID-19 deaths in the U.S. have passed 2020 deaths, but again, we saw a big declining pattern down through the spring and summer before climbing back up in July, okay? This is here just to illustrate the the concept of a season for diseases. Hear about the flu season. Well, is this the season for COVID-19? Increases in the fall, decreases in the spring and summer. Okay. Same thing with deaths. Now, if we look at the numbers by quarter, you can see that the third quarter of 2021 is the you can see that the third quarter of 2021 is the third most quarter so far for COVID-19 cases. And unfortunately, deaths is the same. Even though the good news is the deaths are below these two numbers here, it's still the third most quarter for COVID-19 deaths of any quarter so far. Now we can take a quick look here at the actual numbers. Cases spiked back up on October the 8th, 303,008, before falling all the way down to 16,796 cases on October 24th, with an average of 70,453 cases. Now let's just take a look at some deaths here. So you can see here, long declining pattern as far as deaths during the summer, okay? Spike back up here on January 20th to 4,441 deaths for a single day. On October 24th, that number had fallen to 141 deaths on a single day, with a 14-day average of 1,670 deaths for a single day. Now, if we look at weekly cases here, we can see exactly what's going on. Long declining pattern here, followed by this big increase here. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 week increase in COVID-19 cases beginning in July. And now we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight weeks of decline in COVID-19 cases. Sort of interesting, huh? Long declining pattern for deaths. Deaths fell below 5,000 here. Very low deaths here. But then again, we saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A 10-week increase in COVID-19 deaths beginning in July before the last 4 weeks beginning to fall down a little bit. Monthly cases, well, if there's any good news, it's that October's cases are going to be less than August, September's cases, okay? Well, the deaths are still going to be 3, 4, maybe fourth or fifth or sixth most. October's going to be the fifth or sixth most deaths for a single month so far. Now, this is kind of an interesting plot. I'm not sure how useful it really is, but basically it answers the question, for every 100,000 people, how many people in the U.S. currently have COVID-19? And the answer is somewhere between 12.5 to 25. So let's just be generous and say it's right now, let's just round us up to 25 people so far. For every 100,000 people in the U.S. right now, 25 have COVID-19. Now, what about deaths? For every 100,000 people in the U.S., how many people are dying from COVID-19? Well, the answer is, well, about one half of a person is dying from COVID-19 in America right now, per day now. Okay, so that concludes our report for today. Thanks so much for stopping by, Twitch or Twitch family. Thanks so much for Seth for stopping by and saying hi, and also for the gentleman who clicked that follow button today on Twitch. Thanks so much, folks. We'll see you tomorrow with an updated report.